Welcome, it's your boy Carcino here, and for my wrestling fans, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Ultimate Warrior! Each little warrior has left something behind for the other one to take and follow down the road of the trail of the forgotten. And whatever else I can come up with, because I'm the Ultimate Warrior! So, in the World Wrestling Federation, there were title matches and then there were just bouts. But Sid Vicious returned as Sid Justice to the WWE, which is the WWF at that time. Hogan was getting ready to go and do some movies and film and take a break. So while they were getting ready to schedule around Hogan's departure, so he can go ahead and take care of business, they were going to have a revolving door for the heavyweight champion until someone could step up. Now, this is part one of the series of the title fights we didn't get to see. When Sid was brought in, he was brought in with the knowledge or the know-how or the expectations that was supposed to be set that he would be fighting the Ultimate Warrior. This feud was going to break out where he and the Warrior was going to eventually fight for the heavyweight title. The Warrior at this time was being just a ball buster for Vince McMahon, and Sid was going to end up beating the Ultimate Warrior for the title and then lose it to Shawn Michaels, who then was going to lose it to Bret Hart. So it was a revolving door for the heavyweight championship at the time. That was the plan. And at WrestleMania 13, Shawn Michaels is going to win the belt back and lose it to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. But Shawn Michaels claimed to be hurt just so because he didn't want to lose the fight. And no one, people kind of doubt his mystery illness. The Ultimate Warrior and Vince McMahon had a falling out, so Warrior just walked away. And the fight never took place. So we never got to see the Ultimate Warrior versus Sid for the heavyweight championship. I felt that would have been a great fight had we ever got to watch it. What ended up happening was the fact that the Ultimate Warrior interfered in a title match with Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice. One of Sid Justice's main, issues that he had with WCW was the fact that they wouldn't give him the heavyweight championship of the world. He always fought as the other guy, but never could get the heavyweight championship of the world. They wouldn't give him that strap. That's when he got in a knife fight with Arn Anderson. He was mad at Ric Flair when Flair was over there doing what he was doing. And then next thing you know, they all end up in WWF. But Sid was promised he would be heavyweight champion. And not only did they live up to the promise, he actually got the belt twice. as he lost the belt to the Undertaker, got the belt back from the Undertaker, then lost it to Shawn Michaels. But the narrative of the WWE is that the storylines always stayed the same for certain wrestlers. Uh, we've seen the scenarios, they replay these scenarios with other wrestlers, but normally when the same wrestler wants the same MO to build up their opponents, well, things could go left. Finally, a wrestling video. We did like a 1 hour wrestling video last night. I'm hanging in there, B. I'm a little tired, a little out of it. Did a lot of work today. I got a really funny video coming out tomorrow. It's about 2 minutes long. I did it just for the jokes and laughs, just to entertain you guys. But hopefully you guys have hit up the Streamlab and been donating to the page, because you haven't been hitting the Cash App up. But that's because they haven't been sending out the notifications, so most people didn't see it. Well, no, that wasn't the case. Hogan at this time was asked to get the belt back. That was a Vince McMahon move, to give the belt back to Hulk Hogan, because ratings was dropping at that time and they were losing a lot of money that year. That was a bad time for wrestling, and Hogan was doing Hollywood things, and he was on a new diet at the time. Hogan had took this new lean product where he was cutting weight, and that was like the best shape Hogan had ever been in his wrestling career at that time. That was lean Hogan. So no, Vince McMahon and the Ultimate Warrior got into a debate over price and what he thought he should be getting paid, and so he just walked away in the midst of where they really needed him, and they just tried to start building the storyline. But things started going left because we never got to see the Sid Vicious and Ultimate Warrior title fight. We never got it. So this is one of many stories that you would be surprised we never got to see, that title match. Yeah. Sid was way bigger than the Warrior. That's what people didn't realize, is how big Sid really was. He towered over the Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. Towered. People just didn't realize how big Sid actually was. There was a reason he was called Big Sid Vicious. Yeah, this one Sid was a good guy. He was coming up doing his thing, but it hurt the WWE because this fight, this what hurts wrestling when you don't have the match that's supposed to happen. It don't work out. It never takes place, and you really set your company back because now you got to start over and work over storylines all over again. Oh man, it was crazy at that time. Sid and Hogan and all these guys, Ultimate Warrior. He had a good time during this run. WrestleMania 8, which was a great WrestleMania. Like that's one of the best WrestleManias they had. That match went down in history. So it ended up being Hogan fighting Sid Vicious for the title, and the Warrior interfered, which was supposed to start the Ultimate Warrior versus Sid Vicious, and then that was gonna be the main fallout from this war. But when Ultimate Warrior left the company, we never really got that completed. So this is just part one of them. There's many stories that guys who had careers in wrestling or bouts that we wanted to see for the title, and we just didn't get it. And we're like disgusted that we didn't get to see that fight. No, that wasn't. It's like the co-main event. They weren't the main event. The main event was Ric Flair, who was the champion at that time. See, Flair ended up coming into the company, and when Flair came into the company, he was going to be heavyweight champion. They had already wrote that narrative in the storyline. He caused Hogan to lose his belt, and they had a big fallout, and that's when Sid and Hogan and everything else got into play because Rick just automatically just came out of nowhere, and he brought the title, which they didn't want him to do. On and Vince paid Rick extra. He's like, if you bring the title to WWE, bring the belt in. It's like insulting when you bring the title belt to another federation. It's like saying they own you. It's like really insulting. So they didn't want Rick to bring the belt to Vince because Vince was the competitor. So he put NWA basically out of business. So the NBA title didn't really mean anything anymore. And Ric Flair had brought that belt in, and they played the narrative of we can finally have Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. True wrestling fans wanted to see that fight because they viewed Ric Flair as the real heavyweight champion. Like really true wrestling fans, they messed with the NWA. They used to always say WWE is entertaining, but it's too commercial. The real wrestling is NWA World Championship Wrestling. People get their head busted, stuff, anything can happen. Well, anyhow, Hogan had to go do Suburban Commando. So he had to go leave. And when Ric Flair was coming in, this was the great narrative story they could run. So when Undertaker, to show you how quick they cooked this up, this wasn't even planned. This was like one of their house cards where nobody got to see it. They kept for weeks letting Bobby Heenan carry his belt around. You know, he carried the belt around, promoted Ric Flair's belt. But see, why Ric Flair was determined the real heavyweight champion was because Ric Flair would actually defend the belt around the world. He would go to Japan. He would go. Vince wouldn't send his wrestlers out. WWE wrestlers and WWF, rather, they fought only other WWF wrestlers. He didn't let them travel abroad anymore. Once he formed the WWF, that was over. There was no more, you're going to Japan to wrestle, you're doing this. He wouldn't lend his wrestlers out no more. He had an exclusive deal. So Hogan would no longer travel to Japan to do any bouts with another federation. That was out. They're in-house now. So Ric Flair, those guys travel to Japan and do the Japan circuit and actually defend their titles and go across to the Philippines, to Puerto Rico. So he was the real heavyweight champion, the world heavyweight champion, because he defended that title around the world. And that was the angle too that they used. That you're not the real champion. I'm the real champion, Ric Flair. So he interfered and The Undertaker won the bout. And they set up a pay-per-view, a special one out of the blue that was on a house card called like Letting It Go in Texas or something, Last Night in Texas. Just made a pay-per-view in 10 seconds. And when that happened, it was a big melee. Hogan got the belt back, but then it came up with controversy. Tuesday in Texas, exactly. A pay-per-view on a Tuesday night card in Texas, on a house card. They made it a pay-per-view event. Tuesday night in Texas. Just made something up. Because they were doing everything on the fly. And they were running this angle of Hogan versus Flair. Now, Sid ended up turning heel the same way, and this is Hogan. This is what you guys don't know about Hogan. Hogan always scripts his matches. He scripts everything working side by side with Vince. Hogan could script the match all the way down to the bone. And he's been doing it since he's been there. So Hogan likes to keep things really simple. He'll keep it basic. It's all about playing to the crowd. So the narratives have always been the same with him. Every time. He'll be friends with a guy and then they'll turn on him. They're always his tag team partner and then they turn on him. He did it with Paul Orndorff. Him and Paul Orndorff was tag team partners. Then in the ring, Paul Orndorff leaves him behind and they beat up Hulk Hogan. Then he comes and turns on Hogan at the same time. He did it with Macho Man. They tag team partners, then they broke up over Hogan, and then he leaves Hogan in the ring. He gets beat up. He likes the same narrative repeated. And the same thing here with Sid Vicious. Sid and Sid Vicious were tag team partners. Sid Vicious leaves him in the ring. Hogan gets beat up. And now you got a match between Sid Vicious and Hulk Hogan. And this is how WrestleMania 8 went. Then Flair comes and all heck breaks loose during the whole fallout between the two. Because they end up having a battle royal to see who was going to be the heavyweight champion at Royal Rumble. That was going to be the result. And because Sid and Hogan, they both were in a big match for the title. They would come in the last 10, 10 wrestlers come in. Ric Flair number was called early, like number 3. And he lasted all the way to the end and ended up winning the heavyweight championship as Hogan was eliminated, then pulled Sid Vicious out of the ring, which made them have their beef, which went straight into WrestleMania. Morning, Scrubs. LM's back. At least somebody's getting notifications. So after all of these feats were done, you end up having Ric Flair, who was the champion at that time and defending his belt against Macho Man Randy Savage. Randy Savage at that time was doing more commentating because he was injured. So they had to let him heal a little bit. So they let Macho Man get the heavyweight title again and beat Ric Flair for it in WrestleMania. So he had one of his big WrestleMania moments in the ring. He won the belt back after they had Ric Flair take all these pictures with Elizabeth, and people thought Randy's finna lose it because of Flair and Elizabeth. But the thing was, Macho Man was there as the pictures were being taken with Flair and Elizabeth telling them what to do. And he was like, Randy, I'm going to tell you, I know some things about Elizabeth, and I know she remembers me. This was before your time, Randy. Now, what was weird and what you don't know is that Macho Man came up with that concept. Macho Man came up with the idea that Ric Flair, the flamboyant playboy, was with Elizabeth. But, they were never going to do the angle unless Macho Man gave it his blessing, which he did. He thought it was great. Oh, yeah, he's an ex-flame. Yeah, and I took Elizabeth from him. Yeah, and now he's trying to get her back and he's playing these games. He's showing old photos of him and Elizabeth. And he's talking about Space Mountain. Yeah, dig it? But I got something for him. Yeah, I don't care because Elizabeth's mine now. Yeah, dig it? So this is what's going to happen. We're going to go in the ring and I'm going to be really upset at you. Yeah, I might even push you even. Yeah. And then when that goes down, I'm going to climb up that top rope and I'm going to leap into the lights, and I'm gonna drop the biggest elbow on Ric Flair. Yeah, and I'm gonna be victorious. Yeah, because I'm walking out of there with the title. Yeah, I'm gonna be a 2-time world champion. Yeah. So they signed on, and Rick was like, whatever. He's like, I love Savage. So I won't intervene. So that transpired. That happened. So when that happened, it was very obvious to the rest of the world that loved the professional wrestling that this was something wonderful that was transpiring. And watch WrestleMania 8 if you can. Somebody might have it here. One of the best WrestleManias ever. WrestleMania 8 is one of the best WrestleManias ever. 3 is probably my favorite, but definitely WrestleMania 8 was a classic. There you go, LM. Tell them, donate to the Cash App. Carcino's the name on the Cash App. I don't know what's been going on. I think since people weren't getting a notification for a couple of days, people have not donated really to the Cash App. I'm like, something's wrong. Something is very wrong. Well, Macho Man Randy Savage was my favorite wrestler. That was my favorite guy because I had all his moves. I was very athletic like Macho Man. That was my thing. So when we wrestled, no one could get the advantage because I had so much speed. I was speed and agility. Yeah, at that time Undertaker was doing his thing, you know. Undertaker was like kind of coming into his own to being that main guy. But what really took off for Undertaker is when he changed his image and became the dead man on the motorcycle, wearing the biker clothes and all the old uniform. It started to get tired. The whole dead man routine. And that's what Kane needed. Kane used to come in with the mask, his brother Kane. And he needed something new. See, Paul Bearer sold him. Paul Bearer was great. Oh, the Undertaker, he's coming, and I've got the urn. He sold the Undertaker. I heard something beep. Oh, notifications coming today. Oh, that's good. Somebody got a notification. Y'all be at work. That's what's up. But yeah, we never got to see the Ultimate Warrior versus Sid Vicious. Who was Sid Justice at that time. And Sid towered over the Ultimate Warrior. Towered over him. Oh, I used to love the monologues. See, this is back when wrestlers used to give you monologues, and they were really good. Now it's just ridiculous. Their monologues now are scripts. You was gonna bring up Choke. What about Choke? And can y'all please hit the like button? I'm back. Kenwood Drive. He's about Zeus. Where did everybody go? He's like, we just got our notifications late, son. Razor Ramon, Big Scott Hall. Hey, yo, bro. Yo, you been messing with Mama Cheesemo. It's Razor Ramon. I used to watch him flicking toothpicks at people. Me and Choke spoke actually on Instagram. We were speaking to each other in the DM. No, we just got it straight. He thought he was a misunderstanding. He thought I was dissing him when I was like telling him to tread lightly. I'm like no, not for me, dog. I'm not telling you to tread lightly. Like look out for me. You ain't dissing me. I'm telling you to tread lightly because you know these dudes gonna come try to shut you down. I'm trying to help keep your page alive. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying you need to kind of calm down. Oh, okay, that's what's up. Rest in peace to Mean Gene. Smash the like button. Oh, you guys got here late. I already said that my favorite wrestler was Macho Man. But yeah, the pictures with Elizabeth with the horse and Ric Flair, they over at Space Mountain. That's right, Savage. I had Elizabeth before you. And I know she's just died to get back to Space Mountain. Woo! 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 Look here, I don't care about none of your little mind games. Yeah, dig it. Elizabeth is staying with me. Yeah, until I say so. And that's the way it is, and that's the bottom line. Yeah. Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man. Ha ha ha. I heard you wanted me to go out there and wrestle you for the championship for my money belt? Ha! That'll never happen. Do Rockefeller washes the windows of his skyscrapers? No, that's something for like Virgil to do. Me touch someone who's beneath me? Never. You're gonna wrestle Virgil tonight. The dark side of the ring on Macho Man Elizabeth. I don't know. I've lived it. Unfortunately, we lived it. So everybody around the wrestling world, we knew everything that was going on with them too. Unfortunately. Oh, that's Nike. Nike's invested a lot of money in LeBron keeping that 23. They remember how many shoes he sold when he was 6. They was like, look, We are using you to be a bootleg Michael Jordan. That's how we gonna sell your crap shoes. Nobody wants to buy your crap. That's what's really happening. If you want to know the drop, that's why they really is doing this to